But so what's been happening with the BBC?
So there's this sort of small story that I thought was going to be small, but no, it's kind of blown up. So this is a front page news on the BBC, and then I got into it, and the BBC are unhappy that YouTubers are saying things that they don't like.
Oh no!
And therefore they have to go, and they're exacting their will here.
My goodness!
Don't worry about this tweet. I'll just remember it. So let's get up the first tweet, which is from a BBC-funded journalist who is working for a Welsh news outlet, but the Welsh news outlet is funded by the BBC.
Right.
So, and he's saying that this YouTuber, which he doesn't like, needs to go because that's it.
Because I don't like them.
Because I don't like them, they have to go. And of course they're political, and of course they're anti-woke, because it always
so
goes one way.
the YouTube channel they're targeting is an explicitly anti-woke channel, right?
Yeah. I watched some of their stuff. They just seem to be pretty much anti-woke types.
Just normal, right? I watched a couple of their videos too. They seem to be normal, working class Welsh people.
Yeah. So let's get this one up. So this is...
And just say, half my family's Welsh. I'm very familiar with this kind of culture. It's a good culture. I like it. No. It's very much family oriented, and you can see it in their videos, right? Because they've got a few of them doing it, and it's very sort of very very unpretentious is a good way of describing it. Like based, wholesome, but caring and loving family environments. It's good salt of the earth sort of people. They seemed. I'm not explicitly familiar, but that's what the impression I came away with.
So this is this journalist tweeting out. So he says here,
Gwyn Loader.
Tonight on the news in Welsh there, the first two of a special report on Welsh YouTube channel accused of being, quote, racist and, quote, sharing abominable language and thinking.
Oh, how dare they think?
His crime is thinking wrong. Literally, you've had too much to think there.
But I love that the problem, they've been accused of being racist, as if that's a crime in and of itself. We're accusing you of racism. How do you plead? But secondly, can you point someone that you don't accuse of being racist? Is this remarkable or unique in any way, shape, or form?
I mean, literally everyone gets accused of racism for chest feeding now, I guess, not using that term. So anyone. Anyway, just to point out here... So
pubs are just racist because people drink in them who aren't black.
I want to put up the Wikipedia page of the news organisation, so the next one. This is just confirming that, yes, they are... The parent company is BBC Wales, so they are funded by the BBC, even though it's got a Welsh name. And I want to play the first clip. Sorry about the quality being a bit low, but this is the reporting on this YouTube channel for existing. So let's just play.
A Welsh YouTube channel has been labelled racist after an investigation by BBC Wales found it had shared videos with members of the Proud Boys, a group that's been outlawed as a terrorist group in Canada.
Whoa, videos featuring
the voice of Wales have been removed by YouTube, but the people running it say they're giving a voice to people who aren't represented by the mainstream media. Loader reports.
Penally, Pembrokeshire, last September. A protest opposing the housing of asylum seekers at a local military training camp. Also present, broadcasting seemingly supportive coverage, is a YouTube channel called Voice of Wales. It's fronted by Dan Morgan and Stan Robinson, who claim to be journalists, giving voice to those not heard in mainstream media. But we've heard concerns they have a darker side. A county councillor has told us that he's been harassed by Voice of Wales after opposing the protests in Pembrokeshire. This harassment included an allegation that he shared a sexually explicit video of an underage schoolgirl, a claim he totally rejects.
Obviously, they do take an eventual toll, I suppose, on you, and not just me, I suppose friends and family as well, who are obviously concerned. To make sort of false allegations just to fit in with your narrative is very, very wrong.
Voice of Wales keeps controversial company. Guests on the channel include the Proud Boys, a far-right group active in North America, banned from Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, and now classed as an illegal terrorist group in Canada. They've also been involved in discussions with figures such as Tommy Robinson and Katie Hopkins, both banned by Twitter for breaching hateful conduct guidelines. Some have raised concern about the language used by the presenters too, including these remarks by Stan Robinson during a recent broadcast.
If I want to, go and imbibe all things Indian, I'll get on a jet and I'll fly to India. I don't want to get out of my house and have it on my doorstep, thank you very much.
The only thing, I suppose, where maybe we differ on that a little is, the Indian community, our Hindu community, I believe, are the best of us.
Actually, Kay, you're right. That was a bad analogy. India is it is Pakistan actually.
The Pakistani Muslim mob, in my parlance,
yes,
that I find particularly problematic, and that's my personal view.
Yeah. So do I.
So there's good Uzu Uwobi, there's Barack Obama, Martin Luther King. Whilst passing a building in Cardiff Bay displaying posters of prominent black individuals during a recent live stream, this is what Dan Morgan had to say. It's actually the Arts Council of Wales. Because we all know that's what Wales is going to become. Senior politicians have criticised Voice of Wales.
It's very, very worrying, and it is very dangerous. Unfortunately, their real aim is to create hatred, to create division, to stir up racism.
This kind of hate-filled, hate-fueled politics, then that can develop into consequences for the society as a whole, which none of us, I think, should allow to happen and want to see.
The Welsh Conservatives said they also had concerns in a statement condemning what they regard as foul and unacceptable language and ideas. Voice of Wales deny allegations of racism and say free speech includes the right to offend and, of course, to be offended. After we contacted them, YouTube confirmed they had removed 3 videos and denied advertising on 6 others featuring Voice of Wales as they were found to breach their policies.
Winloader with that report.
That was unreal. So what this looks like to me is that Wales has been getting their dose of mass immigration, and the working class people of Wales don't really seem to like it, and the elite of Wales, who are profiting from all of this, are like, oh my god, well, if we allow them to keep saying that mass immigration is bad for their communities, then that could cause us to actually accept that the Welsh people have a moral claim to Wales that foreigners don't have, and that would actually cause quite a lot of trouble, because we've been creating a condition that insists that no, they don't, and foreigners have just got as much a claim to Wales as they do, and that can't be allowed.
That's an accurate description of how things are going here, I would say. So I wanted to just go through a few points there. So the first one, that claiming Proud Boys terrorists because the Canadians say so. Well, I look forward to the BBC.
Well, what does Xi Jinping say?
I look forward to the BBC reporting that Antifa have been terrorists. Oh, wait, they never do. They got claimed as terrorists internationally by the Trump administration.
Doesn't matter.
No, doesn't matter. They also have him claiming to be a journalist. There was a great quote by one of the Voice of Wales guys. Look, if a man can claim to be a woman, I can claim to be a journalist.
More importantly, if the BBC reporters can claim to be journalists, anyone else can too.
Definitely anyone else can. Yeah. So he also accused a Welsh councillor of being a nonce or doing noncery things. I don't know the truth of this, but I did notice that they happened to just say he was a councillor and they didn't explain which party he's from. So this is just...
And this guy was like, hey, wait a minute.
So his Twitter account here, 23, Welsh Labour, county councillor, economics grad, trustee and master's student, persistent about doing the right thing, gay flag, I'm just going to say Welsh flag, EU flag, he, him.
Oh yeah, there's no way this guy's going to be found eventually to have been grooming young boys like the Lincoln Project or anything.
That's what's being alleged against him, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not going to happen. Certainly not. Again, Joshua, if you have such a problem with Voice of Wales saying these slanderous things on
just
there, sue them. Yeah,
like they're claiming something serious, so you could just sue them.
Absolutely, you can get some money out of this, assuming that it's just as untrue as you say.
Yeah, so they also say that they're complaining about Pakistani integration not being perfect. Sue them. Like,
understating the situation, isn't it?
There are a bunch of black Americans being celebrated at the Welsh Art Council.
As you would expect.
Yeah. Like, why wouldn't they? It's meant to be a Welsh Art Council. And then that they interviewed Mrs. Hopkins. Who cares?
Dun, dun, dun.
That's not a crime.
And Lord Voldemort.
And they interviewed Lord Voldemort. How can they do this? Except that's a complete lie. Even in the clip they show. So let's get the first image.
Oh, he was there, wasn't he?
No, he was there. But you'll notice that's actually not their live stream.
Oh, is it not?
Theirs.
Is it someone else's?
First image. This is The Right View, which is a completely different channel.
Right, okay.
They just happen to be invited in part of a group.
Yeah.
And there we go. That's them interviewing Voldemort here, which is just a lie. Just outright lie by the BBC.
Right, okay. Why not?
And in response, the BBC lobbied YouTube, and they say that they've had 3 million videos removed and 6 demonetized. They're claiming that apparently 2 of them removed for COVID Stasiism, so I don't know how many, but they seem to have been able to successfully lobby YouTube from the establishment side in cohorts with Labour Party members here.
Yep.
Like, they're definitely giving the Labour Party perspective. I mean, the politicians they had on there. They had,
but just to sorry to interrupt, but what I love about this is literally the framing of this was, well, we're giving a voice to the unheard people of Wales, and the BBC's like, that's unacceptable. We don't want to hear from them.
That's the problem. Well, I mean, look at the production quality, for example. This is what I know that some people are going to take this as criticism, but I actually love how this sort of stuff looks because it looks real.
Yeah, it's authentic.
Like they're sat there with a little green screen, and it's great. It's absolutely great. They're having a good time. Anyway, so the Labour MP was criticising them there. The leader of Plaid Cymru, basically just leftism.
How dare you give a voice to these plebs?
And then a leftist councillor, and then the Conservatives, so proto-leftists, saying that they had unacceptable ideas and language. Pathetic people. Should be ashamed of themselves. And of course, just because the local Welsh news coverage was that, the BBC had to cover this as well. So the next article was this was on the front page. Like, I logged into BBC just to see what they're reporting on every day. I just got out and just like front page reporting was this BBC story of them saying that this, accused racist channel exists.
Just accused of racism, that means nothing. Do you know how little that narrows it down, BBC? Like, what isn't being accused of racism? That would be a shorter list. Yeah, look at that.
This is BBC reporting here. Like, they're promoting it.
Okay, they were accused of racism, were they? Don't care. Nobody asked.
So I just clipped out a little bit here of the reporting BBC did that was not done by the other site. So they've played video too. So this is the BBC reporting on Waterhead's, the crime that's taken place.
Dun dun dun. Is there no sound to this?
Not to the start.
Right. Okay.
If I want to, go and imbibe all things Indian, I'll get on a jet and I'll fly to India. I don't want to get out of my house and have it on my doorstep. Thank you very much.
A lot of the things that they're saying are putting so many people in danger,
directly
and indirectly. Flee. They spout a lot of ideology around immigrants and refugees, and the Muslim community.
The irony.
And knowing these sort of people myself, it really does make me fear for their safety, because I know that a lot of impressionable people
smiling,
will
she's
take
lying.
That and target all their anger and
she can hardly stop herself
people.
from laughing. She can hardly stop herself from laughing. She is lying, and she knows she's lying. Why are we taking a lecture from a child anyway, in the first place? I'm so sick of this.
Because this is the state-funded media, and the state-funded media have determined that this person's view is important here.
It's so transparent. I don't care about this 12-year-old lecturing me about people being in danger, and then flee the country.
But on this YouTube channel, just saying that, integration hasn't been perfect. I mean, that's essentially his complaint.
I would rather Wales look like Wales than India. Oh my God, controversy.
Take him down.
Yeah.
This guy, shut it down,
this
boys.
Guy's anti-colonialism. Yeah. What a bigot.
So that was a woman who was labelled from the BBC as from an organisation called Stand Up to Racism.
Yeah.
This is image 2, so this is just the officers at Stand Up to Racism. President Diane Abbott there, so Labour Party affiliated. But it gets worse. I thought it might just be Labour Party. I found out today that it's not just them.
Oh, which Conservatives are on there?
Oh, no, well, David Cameron endorsed it once, which, of course, moron. But the next image here is, this is a thing I found. This was an argument within leftist organisations, so I'm getting this from leftists who are complaining that they don't like that the Labour Party and the Socialist Workers' Party are combining here. So this is what's described as a leading member of the Socialist Workers' Party who went to some debate or another. And then the next image here is just a segment of his speech. And in here he says, finally, we are aided by the fact that the Socialist Workers' Party is closely identified with the anti-racist movement in Britain. We are central to Stand Up to Racism.
Of course they are.
So they're saying that they're part of the central running of this organisation. Yep. And if you just go to the Socialist Workers' Party's page, they're a Trotskyist organisation, self-identified. They self-identify as Trotskyist.
So commies are driving the agenda once again.
And the state media calls them up and are like, hey, we've had someone criticising immigration. Shut it down, will you? They're like, no problem, buddy. And they jump in there and say that this is horrible.
Mad.
It's a really good way of seeing how the state in the UK works, though. Someone criticises something and they're like, lobby YouTube, get the state media involved, call in the Trotskyists, we got to deal with this.
Yeah, how the cathedral operates.
But it's not...
Against the working class, incidentally.
And you also have to take into example that this is the BBC, and I just wanted to bring this up because they're still not taking this down. So this is a statue at the BBC, which Paul Joseph Watson's pointing out here, was created by a convicted paedophile. The BBC know this.
What?
I mean, let's talk about the fact that the BBC, Jimmy Savile, Gary Glitter, all that stuff.
Yeah.
This is still there. They know. People have complained about this. There are petitions to get rid of it.
When was it created?
I think it was like a couple of decades ago, something like that.
So it's not even if it was an ancient statue. Okay.
No, but if for people who can't see as well, it's like an elderly man with a whole beard holding a naked child with his genitalia out. It's just like, okay, it's weird at the best of times, but then when the guy who made it was a convicted nonce who was noncing on his own daughters, you think you'd remove it.
Yeah.
I mean, you notice all the statues that have to be taken down for, he once owned a slave in the time where slavery was universal.
Yeah.
I don't think that noncery has ever been universal.
No.
But I suppose at the BBC, different case.
Well, I mean, Jimmy Savile.
Yeah.
That's it. Literally BBC, Jimmy Savile, shut up.
And of course, the establishment also had to call in Hope Not Hate here, which is just a bunk organisation.
We need experts on noncing. I guess you can give me a call, Nick.
So they promoted this story as well, being like, oh, we need to take this down because they're criticising immigration.
Hope Not Hate also being a front for communism.
Yeah, next one here is just a link to for everyone to remember.
Oh, look at that.
The head of research at Hope Not Hate is a self-identified member of the Communist Party of Great Britain.
Yeah.
So not as radical as the Trotskyists, I suppose, but still an out-and-out communist by his own standards.
Well, I mean, it depends. He might be a Leninist or something.
But look at this. I mean, it's just a channel. It's just a random channel, right? And you must be thinking, like, they must be storming YouTube the way that they get this much coverage.
Oh, well, I mean, millions. They must have, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, millions of views a month. They must be clearly having an impact on the culture of Wales.
Yeah, they must be destroying the Plaid Cymru guys at the next election or something. Next link is just their channel. 6,700 subs. They used to be 5,000. They got 1,000 just from this media report.
Now, I don't want to suggest that there's something inadequate about that.
But it demonstrates that even the slightest
that's the point
disagreement about the fact that integration's not perfect in this country.
The smallest amount, and it's not so much about that either. I think it's also about the position that Voice of Wales come from, as in they are Welsh and they are indigenous Welsh people, and they are complaining about the colonisation of their country, and that makes it the pinprick, I think, that they can't resist.
So
that's wild. Like it's not like they're even getting like viral videos or something. It's just their audience that's watching their videos, right? Which normal. Don't get me wrong.
And it's not even neo-Nazi or anything, actually racist. I watch their stuff. They're not. They're just anti-woke, centre-right people, conservatives, let's say. And that's enough to get the entire British establishment involved in shutting it down. We've got to lobby YouTube. Because remember, this is how they got rid of Voldemort as well. That's why he's gone.
Yep.
They literally pulled in a guy from YouTube and berated him for an hour about how they're still getting recommended videos in their recommended site. And the guy was just sat there like, well, stop watching him then. This isn't my fault the Labour MPs are so interested in him.
You can't stop watching Lord Voldemort, not me.
They're all women as well, so I do have to wonder.
It's all, well,
Anyway, last couple of things I wanted to cover here, because they're semi-related in the free speech realm, is that we got this report out that of the police log in this country non-hate crime incidents, so not crimes, but they're hate incidents.
Yeah, we covered this a while ago where the police were actively saying, well, look, even if it's not a crime, come and report it to us anyway, so why the hell would you need to do that?
So they've done it. They've got 120,000 reports, they've said, after a Freedom of Information requests were made, and they said that not one crime was helped by this. So they got 120,000 reports from the public about incidents. All the administration that goes along with that.
Yeah, we're paying for all of this.
And they didn't help one iota in any crime.
I would like them to calculate how much it costs to log one hate crime report that is not a crime, and then we can work out exactly how much of our money they've wasted.
Yeah. I mean, they're literally saying here they were not able, of the Freedom of Information request, 43 police forces, not one could say that they could have one crime was prevented by this, and 20 admitted they didn't even have a system in place to monitor the effectiveness. So they're just doing this for, fulfilling the law's sake.
For Labour.
Yeah. Reports on non-crime hate incidents can show up in criminal records for at least 6 years. So if you have one put against you, which again is not a crime, it will be on your criminal record for 6 years at least.
We've got a record of you doing something that wasn't illegal. How do you plead? Not guilty?
I don't know. Like, what do you want?
Well, yeah, I mean, am I guilty of doing something that wasn't illegal?
And the most absurd things, like there was a Harry Miller, you must remember.
I remember Harry the Owl, yeah.
He was a hate crime
with his limerick. He liked a limerick.
He liked a limerick, and that was it. The police came round to, quote, check his thinking, in the same way they were discussing the thinking of this YouTube channel.
That was exactly the term they used, and it was a transphobic limerick. And so you can see why they would need to check his thinking in those words.
The police of vice and virtue.
Yes.
So he says, he issued a statement in this because he runs Fair Cop now, or apparently he's a co-founder. These reports have allowed the police to become weaponized by woke activists who seek to attack and shut people down if they dare express a view which does not agree with which they do not agree with.
Correct.
Totally right. Totally right.
Correct.
The College of Policing's point of view is that social media hate crime must be treated as a priority.
Why?
They don't mention one here.
Because presumably the Labour activists who put all of this into place were on Twitter, and they've been told by the people on Twitter that this is a big deal.
They've got to deal with it. I mean, it is the law, and I don't know why the Conservatives don't just get rid of it.
I don't know.
We're all waiting. It's been 10 years.
Literally, get rid of the Supreme Court, get rid of Tony Blair's immigration reforms, get rid of almost everything that Tony Blair did in his tenure. Just get rid of it all.
I mean, for Americans who might not understand, it's not like they don't have control of different houses or something.
Oh, yeah, they've got it all.
They've got it all. They have absolute power, because that's the way the Parliament works here.
Yeah.
And
Parliament is sovereign. Well, okay, we'll stack it with Conservatives. You're regretting that? No, because we control the Conservatives. Ha 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 ha.
Like, there are checks and balances, just to be accurate, in the House of Lords and stuff, but there's nothing stopping them from getting rid of old Labour policy.
Nope.
Nothing at all.
Literally, they could have done it in a week.
Yeah. And then the next thing was the Lib Dems tweet, just to show the absolute state of this country,
Yeah.
which we can't show you because they've deleted it.
But I did watch it, because it was a clip from, what, Question Time?
So this is Question Time, and a Lib Dem MP, Liberal Democrat, was asked, is free speech a priority in this country? And she responded with no.
But it was the way she responded with no as well. It wasn't just that, because I mean, like, you're in the middle of a war, and you go to Churchill, Miss Churchill, is free speech priority? Be like, no, not at the moment. We're trying to defeat the Nazis. But that wasn't the way that she approached it. She got all high and mighty and hoity-toity. No, this is not a priority. And let me tell you why. It's like, how about you shut up then? How about we take away your free speech if it's not a priority? Don't tell us. But the point is, she was almost offended by the question of whether free speech is a priority.
Absolutely not. Yeah,
absolutely
she did say
not.
absolutely not in response.
Yeah,
and pathetic.
Unbelievable. Liberal Democrats.
But that's the stance of free speech in the UK. You will be investigated for your thinking, if not by the police, by the state media who are funded by you.